Okay, hi. All right. Oh, I tell you, it's getting very annoying to uh, to stream on YouTube. It's so much more difficult compared to like the likes of Twitch and Mixer. It's an absolute pain to do it, but hopefully everything's here, everything's live. Let me just see this. It should be fine. It's very. There we go. All right. All right, we're good. I think. Hello. Hi, Kiffian. How's it going, buddy? Nice to see you back again. Oh, right. So, if you've not seen the video, you can always check that out before the deadline tomorrow, the weekly one, for the preview for Game Week 23. I'll go through the points from last week and some talking points from last week as well, and have a quick look at players who we're going to be looking at going forward. But first, I hope everyone's having a good Friday. I've just now finished for a couple of weeks, kind of like half-term Chinese New Year, so should be free for a couple of weeks, which is great, which means I'm able to sort of tune into those late games on a Sunday, like the Liverpool United one this week, which I've been looking forward to, which is great. So just wait for this. Yeah, I didn't want to moan too much about YouTube, but it is so much more difficult compared to other platforms. So, wildcard played. First off, do I regret it? No. No, I don't regret playing the wild card. Even though 58 points is just above the average, I'm still pretty happy with the players I've got going forward. I even don't regret keeping Jimenez over bringing in Danny Ings because I felt like Wolves were going to do a pretty good job against Newcastle. Turns out they didn't. So the move I have that I did pencil in for the wild card, which I've just made earlier instead of waiting until after that Liverpool game, is Ings came in for Jimenez straight away. As soon as I watched Danny Ings just kind of destroy Leicester, he could have got a hat trick in that game. He was really impressive. So this is a team that I'm going to be having going forward, and you can see Traore is actually sat on my bench. Moy is now fit, and he's against an Aston Villa side at home, who are kind of down in the dumps at the minute. So I mean, it could be a last-minute change, but I am feeling that Southampton defensively are looking better. I am playing the Southampton goalkeeper, so kind of putting my eggs in the Southampton basket. But Moy, I think, could do a good job against Aston Villa, so we'll just have to wait and see for that. So, Kivian, think of the team. Ryan, yep. TAA, Sunchu, Lundstrom, Madison, Salah, De Bruyne, Mane. So, you've already got the Liverpool lads sorted out because that's obviously a big talking point. Mane, Grealish, Vardy, Ings. Yeah, you must have really good team value. Have you considered playing? Oh, well, not this week because against United, but Greenwood with Rashford possibly out. 1 second, I just need to take this hoodie off because it's a lot hotter than I thought it was going to be. There we go. That feels a bit better. Yeah, so Greenwood, interesting, possible in for Rashford, but I mean, United just released a press conference saying they're going to give him more time for Liverpool, but I'm not 100% sure what is going to happen with Rashford. But to be honest, Kivian, that's a solid squad. Ones I'd be targeting to take out, yeah, 106 is nice. I think mine's 104. But the ones I'd be targeting to take out, I took out Sionchu and I haven't looked back. I think, especially without Ndidi now with the cover, Leicester aren't looking as good defensively. But it depends if you've got a good profit on him. I got him at 4.5. I sold him, I think, for 4.9 or 4.8. For me, it was worth it. It helped me jump onto other cheaper assets that roll in value. Madison is a possible keeper. I think they've got good fixtures, but I'd still be leaning towards getting rid of Grealish. But it is it's a 4-4-2, isn't it? I was contemplating going to a 4-4-2 myself. If I was brave enough to get rid of, after the double game week, brave enough to get rid of the likes of Mane and go, double Liverpool defence, I've got some good ideas to have, but at the minute, could be a 4-4-2. I knew it was going to be a risk going with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I know I've only had him for one game week. Already, I'm not feeling a lot of faith in him. So if I might drop him down to Greenwood and then Traore up to someone, and then just play 4-4-2 and switch Holgate and even Lascelles. But again, that's future me to worry about. At the minute, I'm pretty set and ready to go. Which is better for the double game with double defense or double attack. So I think I'm going to have to go with what everyone else is basically saying. Now, if you're taking hits to do anything, I think it's wrong. Like, I'm talking like big hits to bring in like a double defense. Like, so if you're doing like a -8 to bring them in, it's not worth it. So if you can do it comfortably, I do believe in double attack. And that is because a couple of reasons. One, the point ceiling is higher. Two, it's more enjoyment when you're watching the games. Like, if you've got 2 or 3 Liverpool defenders and you're watching the game and, you know, a goal goes in the first minute and it's gone, right? Then you're having to like beg TAA or Robbo to get an assist. So for me, when I'm watching the game, I'm looking at Salah, I'm looking at Mane. Every time Liverpool's got the ball, every time they're going forward, they are the key men. An interesting option, in my opinion, when you say double attack, an interesting option might be, if you climb in the ranks, this is the challenge that you've got now, and it's a risk, it's a game. It's like a gamble in a way, where you need to find a way to rise the rankings. So if you went for TAA, Salah, and Firmino, that is I think it's the second biggest differential after Robbo, Salah, and Firmino. And I just feel like if you want to go up the ranks, you've got to make those differential choices, and hope that they pay off. Of course, the idea is it's risk and reward. So there's a good chance it's not going to pay off as good as TAA, Salah, and Mane. But if it does, you know, Firmino's under 10%. Salah is in the 20s, I believe, 25%. But Mane, 39.9%. He's the highest owned Liverpool asset. A lot of people are going to be triple captaining him. You can't avoid that. So if you choose to go against Mane and he doesn't bang, then you're going to shoot up the rankings if Firmino returns more than Mane. So I am going to stick with the answer of double attack is better. It's more fun to watch the game. There's a higher point ceiling. And it's just a deadly combo. They're the two biggest scorers in the game. But that's saying, if you're balanced, you're happy with a more balanced squad. So I wildcarded, so it was easy for me to kind of make a more balanced squad with TAA, Salah, and Mane. But a lot of people have been having to maybe take some hits or have a much more unbalanced squad. So if you look at my bench, like Lascelles and Holgate, that's 4.2 and 4.4 million. Most people have got like Rico and Kelly in those positions right now, and that's not easy to maneuver to the likes of Salah and Mane without sacrificing somebody like Vardy or Kevin De Bruyne. So if you can easily go to double attack, then do it. But I wouldn't be having to play, you know, Salah, Mane, and like Hayden from Newcastle, you know, or having to play like Martinelli or Greenwood up front in my starting 11. So if you can get a double attack, I'd go double attack. But if it's going to really like destroy your team balance and leave you with like 0 subs and stuff, then I won't be doing that. Yep, Squally, that is exactly. So 2 million you did wild card, all differentials, and that is what I said last week, which is what I'm going to be going towards after this double game week. I'm just going to... So I've just been talking about Mane, he's almost 40%. If I just go to Mane, even to someone like Rashford when he's fit, I think Rashford is under 30%, or if I can go down to maybe even like Jimenez, who's under 20%. Or Firmino, who's 10%, or even Aubameyang, go up to Aubameyang or Aguero. It's just, that is how I'm going to be switching to play. Because I said this last week, I think now I'm 1.8 million overall. If I just stick with Mane, you know, De Bruyne, Vardy, people where half of the game have got them, then I'm just always going to just trot along around this rank and hope a couple of my other players. But if I just make it a little bit more differential, if I just keep Kevin De Bruyne and Mane because I think they're the best, but I could sacrifice Jamie Vardy in a couple of weeks and just see how it goes because I'm probably not going to captain him. But I'm going to be going that way as well, Squally. Ryan TA, Lunchtime, Tomori. So Tomori must be on the chopping block because he's lost his place, right? Kelly as well. I did mention Kelly when I was wildcarding. Kelly and Rico, that's why I took them out. Because I said their time was limited. Richarlison. I just don't trust Everton. I know Richarlison scored, and I know I've got 2 Everton players, but they're always going to be the first heads on the chopping block for me. Because too many times I've stuck with Everton assets and they've not done well. Martial, Dendonka, KDB, Ings, Jimenez and Vardy. Who should you downgrade to afford Salah? So then you've got to go Richarlison to Salah, right? But then you're looking at 4 million, Dylan. And where are you going to get 4 million with that? You'd have to go like... Can Jimenez can't do it. You'd have to bring in Salah with the team that you've got, you'd have to either wildcard, take hits, or just not do Salah. Or you'd have to get rid of one of the big boys like Vardy or Kevin De Bruyne. You'd have to just do like a Kevin De Bruyne Salah. But even then, if you've got no money in the bank, you've got to pick up 2 million from somewhere. And like I've been saying for weeks and weeks as well, Dylan, like we've been preparing for this double game week a while, so it's a little bit late because you've only got one free transfer to sort of deal with that. Best 1 week punt. All right, so we'll use that as a little leeway into the players that I have suggested for the up and coming game week. Let me just bring this back. So Kevin De Bruyne is going to be my pick of the week. He is currently my captain. Now, so talking about captaincy differentials and differentials in general, captaincy differentials is a really great way to rise up. I was talking to Sean, who watches, I don't think he's in the chat yet, but he was talking about differential captaincy picks. And even though Vardy was the top pick, Kevin De Bruyne was second, which wasn't great, but he was still almost half as captained. I think Vardy was 1.5 million captained, and it was about 850,000 Kevin De Bruyne. So, I mean, that just meant with going Kevin De Bruyne over Jamie Vardy, it was a big risk because at home to Southampton after the 9-0, you'd think, oh, Jamie Vardy's going to go crazy. But remember, there's a lot of dead teams now, so it feels like captaining Vardy, you kind of, I don't know, you don't want him to bang because too many people are captaining him. Effective ownership is something that I talked about in the weekly video about, like 150% effective ownership, which means that if a player is over 100%, that means it's captained, which means that actually if you've not captained them, every point that they get can actually start to work against you, which isn't a good thing. But anyway, Kevin De Bruyne, I still think it'll be highly picked, but I like captains in midfielders because they've got, I feel like, a higher ceiling. Also, at home to Palace, I think out of the big boys, he's got the best fixture. Danny Ings as well is someone that I recommended this week because obviously he's in fantastic form. Is against Wolves, who are a little bit shaky with the lower to mid-table teams and a little bit out of sorts at the moment. They're not looking completely on the ball. And Jamie Vardy against Burnley, who are just not looking solid at the back at all. So talking about 1 week punt, it's not point chasing, and I did mention this before, but Riyad Mahrez, the biggest risk here, of course, is Pep rotation. But if he plays, I took a punt on him when Kevin De Bruyne got injured in that before that international break. The last time we played Crystal Palace, the game before that. And Mahrez got dropped, and then he didn't play, and he only got like 1 point. So it didn't work out for me, but he is someone who, if he plays, if he starts, he is a fantastic asset. So if I was going to have a 1 week punt, you can have a look at the differentials. Mahrez, I think, there because he's a fantastic player in great form. Morpay, that's more fixtures over form because he's got Aston Villa and Bournemouth in the next 2. And, they are the 2 weakest looking sides at the moment. And then Heung-min Son is he less than 6% owned? And the thing is, a lot of people won't go back to Heung-min Son because we captained him, he got a red card, he upset us all, it was terrible, made us very angry. But he's a top quality player, he's 7% owned, and he's got Watford and Norwich and Villa in the next 3 out of 4 game weeks. So 1 week punt, maybe Mahrez. 3 to 4 week punt, I'd say Heung-min Son would be my choices. Ings, Aguero, Firmino, Salah, Samuel Charlton, Mahrez, Gomez, Lundstram, Holgate. That's what I mean, Scott. That's such a good differential team. I think anything under 25% can kind of count in your favour because that's obviously just a quarter of the game. Lundstram, I think you've got to have Lundstram. You can't have a whole successful team of like 10%. Should Aguero owners swap to Marlon and Salah after this game week? Yeah. Aguero is a fantastic player. I've had him basically every season except this one. But Sheffield United away, not easy. Spurs away, not easy. West Ham at home, yeah, but then Leicester, Arsenal, United. City can. We have this opinion that for some reason recently that City can't destroy teams. They absolutely can destroy any team. They could even come across Liverpool and destroy them. To be honest, like they're still a top quality side. But difficult games, Champions League is where they've got to be targeting because they'll know deep down the league is kind of gone from them. And I just don't trust, like, there's so many Aguero owners or former Aguero owners out there who sat with Aguero on the bench for week after week after week and they thought he was going to play and he didn't and he lost his place and then he got it back and he comes on as sub and it just, again, people who brought him in and he got that beautiful return last game week, but you'll talk to other owners who maybe kept him the whole time and said, yeah, he's picked me up, 20 points or whatever because I didn't captain him, or he picked me up 40 points because I did. But the amount of times that he's not played or blanked for them or been injured for them kind of does balance out overall. So I would definitely get rid of Aguero, hopefully without a hit, if it meant that I could have Mane or Salah for a double game week. Bring in Ayew and Salah or Martial and Firmino. If you have to play Ayew, then I'd say Martial and Firmino because Martial's going to be playing against Burnley at home. And Firmino is quality player. Now, I am preparing a video for looking at stats. And a lot of people are saying like the fact that Firmino is so much better than Salah at away points. And for me, that as a stat, it just doesn't really prove anything. Like, so Firmino hasn't scored at Anfield so far this season. But I wouldn't not pick Firmino for a home game just because he hasn't scored yet. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not going to make a decision and say, oh, I'm going to get Firmino over Salah because he gets more away points. That doesn't make sense. Like, football doesn't work like that. They've had, I think, 8 or 9 games away from home. So saying Firmino gets more away points than Salah doesn't matter. What matters is recent form. And in recent form, Salah is outdoing the likes of Mane and Firmino. So I understand Ayew and Salah is better than Firmino. But as a combo, I'd be much happier with Martial and Firmino over Ayew and Salah. Rank in order of preference. Deeney, DCL, Morpay. Oh, I've got DCL and... All right, so Morpay at the minute would be number 1. I think it'd be Morpay, DCL, Deeney. I'm not really fond of Deeney, and I think Watford's got difficult fixtures. Should you replace Fabianski with a -4? If you've not got a playable goalkeeper, then yeah, suggest one. I'd go McCarthy long term. If you're not into changing your goalkeepers, I think is he 4.4 million now, which isn't ideal, but that's 0.5 less than Fabianski, 0.4, 0.5. And you look at these fixtures, apart from that game week 25 away to Liverpool, they're all and 33 to City. Just keep him for the rest of the season, or until you have your second wild card if you've not played it yet. So I'd probably, and they are second best defensively after Liverpool. In the last few game weeks, so much big improvement at the back. You're saving yourself about 0.5 million. So I'd say McCarthy. Best budget keeper long term, Ryan Henderson McCarthy. Oh, well, there you go, Notorious. I've just answered that one. McCarthy for me. I think Ryan is a great choice because Brighton have some really good fixtures. That's why I brought in Moy as my fifth midfielder, who's currently ahead of Traore. So if you haven't done your second wild card, maybe suggest Ryan and then bring in McCarthy. But if you were just going to bring a keeper in and probably keep it for the rest of the season, I'd probably say McCarthy at the moment. Or it depends on money though, Notorious. Like, it's a best budget keeper. If you're not bothered about money, I'd possibly lean towards Henderson as well. The amount of clean sheets they've got, but after game week 24, and then you keep them from 25 to about 30, then you've got your wild card, then Henderson's a good shout. But all the goalkeepers are really, really close. A lot of people have been saying about the goalkeepers, but honestly, you can throw a blanket over them. Pope gets transferred out so many times, but he's just 11 points behind the leading goalkeeper, which isn't bad at all. Like, that's not a terrible thing to be in, so I wouldn't worry too much about your goalkeeper. Tend to go Sterling captain, but it is risky. Yes, it is, Matt. You're not sure how many City will score or the Palace they attack. Yeah, he should start exactly, Matt. This is exactly why I'm thinking I might be moving away to try and bring in David Silva. It's someone who I've wanted to own all season. But I'm just like, it's just having a player who, even Kevin De Bruyne might get dropped for Palace. Like, would you really be surprised if you see the team sheet and then Kevin De Bruyne's taking a break? Because he's not really taking a break yet. I just won't be surprised at all. Sterling's had a break. Maybe he's not had a break. Maybe he's got dropped. Because, you know, they thumped Watford and he didn't play. And they thumped Aston Villa and he didn't play. So it doesn't take a genius for someone to be like, well, maybe Sterling's a problem. Solskjaer to start Greenwood. That's a good question, Matt. Unknown. We still don't even know if Rashford's not going to play. Because I said earlier, United came out and said that they were still giving Rashford time to rest. And I won't really be fond about playing Greenwood. Even if I knew he was going to play, I won't be fond about playing Greenwood against Liverpool away from home. I mean, that's a game to where a Manchester United star can be born, right? You know, if he goes to Anfield and bags a goal at the Cop end, like, he's on his way to becoming a Man United legend, right? The Southampton manager hint that and as far as he had said something about not against Wolves, but he mentioned Crystal Palace in his comment. But honestly, like, Southampton can't do that. If you look at the Premier League, if we have a look at the Premier League table, right, Southampton cannot afford to just be like, oh, you know that player who's currently the most informed player right now? Yeah, how about we drop him? Because they're not in Europe, you know, they've not got a ton of extra games. But Southampton, they're up to 12th, which is great, but they know they struggled at the start of the season. They looked poor. They're on 28 points. They're 7 points out of safety, but you want to be playing Danny Ings against Wolves, and you want to definitely be playing him against Crystal Palace, because that's the game where they'll be looking and thinking, oh, we need someone to score here. So I just feel maybe he's just saying that so teams don't set up just to combat Danny Ings. I'm not really worried about it. I mean, why would he's not showing signs of slowing down. He's not looking like he's fatigued. Like, when we've been watching Tottenham Hotspur in the last couple of weeks, like Dele Alli, and just before he got injured, and probably why he got injured, like Harry Kane. Like, you watch them playing, like, they were absolutely like dead on their feet. But when you watch Danny Ings, he just looks like he's perfectly fine. It's a little bit like Jamie Vardy. I know he picked up a calf strain, but Jamie Vardy looks perfectly fine. Like, he doesn't look like he needs a break. So they did look a little bit haggard in that Southampton game, I will admit. But Danny Ings just doesn't look like he needs to be dropped right now. So I wouldn't understand why you would do it. And especially in a few weeks as a international break, right? So there's a 4 day and then another week. So 2 games in 4 days, but they have had a week off. I don't think that's like scare. If anything, I would drop Danny Ings, and he would hate it because he got sold by Liverpool, right? But if I was a Southampton manager, if I was going to give Danny Ings a break, but then it's 14-day break after Liverpool. But if I was going to give him a break, I'd give it against Liverpool because I'd be going into that Liverpool side thinking away from home, they're trying to wrap up the league as early as possible. Realistically, are we going to go get 3 points there? Do we need to get 3 points at Liverpool, or should we just have fully fit players for Crystal Palace and Burnley and Villa and the like? So, Ings should be rested in the cup. Exactly, Vince. Like they were really poor at the start of the season, really struggling. They don't want to slip back into that relegation battle, and they're only 7 points clear. So if they lose this weekend and Bournemouth beat Norwich, that already cuts down that connection. So if Villa go to Brighton and win, that puts them 24. That's just 4 points behind Southampton, right? So it'd be madness to do that. Mahrez or Son. Thomas, if Price isn't if Price isn't a problem for you, then I'd go Heung-min Son. Because Crystal Palace, it's still not the easiest. Palace are like away specialists, right? But Palace and Sheffield United are pretty stubborn fixtures. I don't think it's going to be like 5-0, 5-0. But Heung-min Son, again, it's Watford they've got first, right? Watford's not easy. People don't like back in the early kickoff, but it's Watford. I already said it, isn't it? Watford, Norwich, and Villa in the next 4 games. I think I'd be leaning there. Trossard or Morpay? Morpay. Trossard hasn't actually done anything yet that makes me want to buy Trossard. I know he looks good. He looks exciting. A lot of people like sort of hype him up, but I don't know. He's not. He's got 1 double-digit haul all season. He's got 2 goals and 5 assists, and he's 5.8 million. Like, if he's your 4th midfielder, maybe, but if he's 5th midfielder or something, nah, I'd just rather have Morpay as my little 3rd striker. And they're both differentials, to be honest. There you go. For this week only, then I'd go for Morpay. That'd be my option. So I haven't been able to set up any polls because of how YouTube's been frustrating me. But I'm just interested to know what you guys are going to be doing for the double game week. Are you going for 3 Liverpool defenders, 3 Liverpool attackers? Are you going 2 at the back, 1 in midfield or up front? I'm interested to know what you guys are going to be doing for your double game week plans for Liverpool. We've got any West Ham players as well. Doubtful. I mean, Liverpool and Leicester, not easy fixtures. Rashford out, Greenwood in. Yeah, Mr. Joy, we talked about that earlier. We still don't know if Rashford is out or not. And it doesn't necessarily mean that Greenwood will come in because Pereira might get put out to the wing. So it could be like Martial, Pereira, and Daniel James. Why do you only have popular players taking Decore and Watford? Yeah, but Decore has actually been carrying a knock. But you also say I have popular players, but okay, Vardy is. We've all got Vardy. Calvert-Lewin is 7%. Even Danny Ings is just 25%. Mo Salah's 25%. Moy is 0.6%. Sidibe is 2.3%. And McCarthy's 2.5%. Like, I don't know what else you want me to do there, but like I've just named like 5 players with less than 10%, and a couple of those were less than 5%. Hey, how you doing, Clarky? That'll sound weird because obviously it's a Sam and Nina, but good to see you, buddy. Welcome along. I saw you just played your wild card, right? But I think I saw you trolling at one point, saying like, I'm playing my wild card, and you brought in like you just did like 3 transfers for Brighton. But bold, Callum Wilson in, Callum Wilson captain. That is absolute madness. Jimenez out, Ings in. Mr. Jolly, that's exactly what I did. It was when I did my wildcard last week on the stream, I did say that in a few weeks' time, Jimenez will go out and Danny Ings will come in. I just did the move earlier. He's such a good player. He's so consistent. Had him for most of the season, Raul Jimenez. But just like you said there, Mr. Jolly, Wolves have poor fixtures. Wolves do better against the better teams. But Jimenez is like a talisman like Vardy is for Leicester, right? He is so important for them. But yeah, Ings is just in such good form. And I'm just going to keep sitting there every week saying, oh, Danny Ings will stop. Oh, Danny Ings can't keep this going. Oh, Jimenez will outdo Danny Ings. And you have to stop it because there's nothing written that says that Danny Ings will stop scoring. He could score in every single game for the rest of the season. There's no unwritten law that says Danny Ings can not keep this going. Or he doesn't score a goal for the rest of the season. But he just looks good as well. Like, he could have got a hat-trick against Leicester. He really could have. If Rashford is out, Greenwood will start. Pereira will play in midfield as a United fan. It's possible, but again, I'm not that bothered about playing any Manchester United players against Liverpool at Anfield. Because it's especially someone quite inexperienced like Greenwood. Decore only costs 5.6 and he's in good form. He's taking 29 points. I'm not saying Decore is not a good player, but how can I bring him in right now? Like, I'd maybe take out Traore. And I know Decore is in good form. I know he's playing as like a number 10. But I even tweeted, as soon as Pearson went in, I even retweeted that tweet I did saying that Pearson will make this a much better side, stronger defensively. I even had Kiko Firmino playing for me. Like, I have backed Watford. But, he's had a good last 3 games. Villa and Bournemouth, by the way, in those 2 out of 3 games. We're all targeting Aston Villa. We're all targeting Bournemouth. And Wolves have been in pretty poor form. Like, I want to see these guys against Spurs. Villa again, that's fine. But Everton, Brighton, United, Liverpool, Palace away, Leicester. Do I really want to bring in Decore for that? No, I don't think so. And I did say that they've come out and said that it looks like something's a little bit off. He's got like a little niggle or something. So, again, I'm not completely sold on Decore. I'm not saying he's not a good player. And yeah, fine if you want to bring him in. But for me, I've got nowhere to fit him. And because I've already said that in the future, it's probably going to be Dominic Calvert-Lewin will go down. And maybe Sidibe will go down. And then I'll turn that Traore into a Martial or a Maddison. So then I've got Decore against Martial or Maddison. And I think Martial Maddison beats Decore. That's going to be my option. Aguero captain. Why not? Yes, Aguero captain. But we talked about this earlier, so I don't like going over the same ground. So what I do, I usually, if I've said it earlier, I'll just give like a more summed up, faster version of City are great. Mahrez, De Bruyne, Sterling, whoever from City, fantastic. But captain him, but be wary that he could get dropped. Because that's why we all say Pep roulette, right? Pep rotation. Sterling captain, Rami, same thing. Yeah, any City option is a great captaincy option on any given game week. It's just, does he play or not? 3 transfers just on the top of the wild card. Yeah, Wilson captain, 1 return. I said I brought Wilson in for that last time that Bournemouth had a really good run. But the thing is, he's got no stats to back it. He's got no form to back it. Bournemouth are looking woeful at the moment, looking like absolute whipping boys. But if he pulls it off, that is an absolute differential captaincy option. That'd be madness. Troy Deeney, something I'm looking at. No, Andy, I mentioned earlier, I put him behind Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Morpay in my cheap forwards. Because, again, for the same reason, good last, 2 or 3 games, but we're talking against Aston Villa and Bournemouth, who are the 2 worst defences right now. One's the absolute whipping boys in Bournemouth, and the other concede the most amount of chances compared to any other Premier League side. Brighton may be good for clean sheets next year. Dunker's fairly cheap. Yeah, I did mention Brighton earlier when we talked about goalkeepers as well. I don't know. You've got to admire sort of Klopp will probably get manager of the year, but I think sort of my underdog manager of the year would either be Potter at Brighton because of the way he's turned it, and he'd play quite nice football and it's nice to watch. And I'd also actually put Steve Bruce up there in terms of managers who've done well, because the 13th, they're in a little bit of poorer form now because they've dropped down the table a little bit. But if you, at the start of the season, we all had them like rock bottom, right? And everyone's like, oh my God, Steve Bruce, no way, this is an absolute nightmare. And protesting before he'd even got in the job. And yeah, I think there's some managers like that. So defensively, Brighton are looking a lot better. And I would completely agree. Ryan or Dunk, or I think you can go cheaper, isn't it? Webster, who's a little bit cheaper at the back. Or is Byrne back from his injury yet? He's the really, really tall one, isn't he? I'm looking at the wrong one. No, he's still out. But hey, isn't he like 6'7" or something? I mean, if that's not an aerial threat, I don't know what is. Robertson. Oh, so Matt, you're doing Robertson, TAA, and Salah. Yeah. Plus Salah, Mane for the double game week. Oh, you mean Robertson or Salah? Because that's 4 there. And we all wish we could have 4. Yeah, Matt, you're covering your bases. Like, if Wolves, if they score... Yeah, they're against Wolves and West Ham, right? Is that right? Let me just check that. Yeah. So you're saying that if Wolves score, it'll probably Raul Jimenez and you'll still get points. So you're kind of putting your eggs in different baskets, sort of covering bases. So that makes sense. I've done that before. That's why, but this time that's why I've got Traore on the bench, because I could play Traore because he might be involved in a Wolves goal, and I've also got the Southampton goalkeeper. But I'm just putting my eggs in the Saints basket this weekend. Thoughts on Jesus? Good form, fantastic player. If he could start every week up front next to Aguero, that'd be lovely. If Pep came out and said, all right, honest, scouts on it, guys, I promise you all that Gabriel Jesus will play pretty much every game for the rest of the season in the Premier League, and Aguero will do the Champions League, we'd all go and get Jesus in, right? There's not a question about, I said it earlier, there's no question about Manchester City assets. There's just questions about whether or not you're going to have a 9-point-whatever million striker sat on your bench until the 90th minute coming on for a point. James and Aspie's looking so good. There you have points. But they're like 5 to 6 million defenders. And again, look at my defense. Like I don't put my money in defense anymore. And I'm not going to switch to Chelsea defenders. Chelsea have got like a really... Chelsea have been poor for clean sheets as it is. Why am I going to bring in like a 5.8 million player who's about to face Arsenal, Leicester, United, Spurs? So, I mean, that's not a move that I'm going to make, Andy. Who's West Ham's keeping out? It looks like it's going to be Randolph. Hey, Shani, how's it going, bud? We think it's going to be Randolph. I think Martin is possibly injured, and I think he'll rather play a cone in goal ahead of Roberto. I think Randolph's going to walk straight into the side, 4.5 million as well. But I wouldn't be going West Ham. I know they've got a double game week, but again, it's Leicester and Liverpool, and then Brighton, and then City and Liverpool, and then Southampton with Danny Ings. So I don't know why people went Fabianski. I said it before. Like, I know he's a great keeper. You don't want to rely on save points from your goalkeeper. Hey, Marco, how you doing, buddy? So you think Martin? No, I think it's going to be Randolph who's going to come in. You got Sarr. Now, Sarr, I think, is a better option. But again, I'm going to wait for Watford to play some tougher opponents before. And again, I can't afford it. It's 6.2. Is he Sarr? Or is he going up to 6.3 now? So I'm going to do it. Team looks cracking. Oh, cheers, bud. Well, that's a wild card. I mean, it looks cracking now, but it might not look cracking in a couple of weeks when there's a new template knocking around. But I've already said I'm going to start to go more differential. We've only got a few lower ones, but it might even mean having to sacrifice the likes of Vardy. I know this highly owned, but I don't want to get rid of Kevin De Bruyne and Mane because I do feel that they're players that are just constantly going to get returns. But I could probably happily get rid of, well, not happily, but get rid of Jamie Vardy, who's over 50% owned, and he's a negative really if he returns because people will captain him, and just take a risk elsewhere. And if I had the guts to get rid of like Mane and De Bruyne, that'd be the dream. West Ham signing Randolph, who will start. Yeah, that's how I was saying, Matt. I think that'll do. 2 Watford players. Defensively, I think Watford are great though. Really cheap. You'd love to have Martin for the double game week. Doubtfully he plays both. Yeah, I said I think Randolph's gonna play. Yeah, Andy, that's the same question I had earlier: Morpay or Trossard, and I said Morpay. Trossard hasn't really done anything yet. To be fair, both of them haven't. I think we're looking at their price more than actual performance. Trossard looks good, but FPL wise, not exactly great. Mahrez is a 1 week punt, definitely. Definitely. He is actually my differential pick of the week, Mahrez. But I keep saying 3 out of the next 4 game weeks for Heung-min Son look absolutely tasty. If you can trust him again after that horrible red card. Vince, I don't know if that's a joke or not, but I love it if it's true. Steve Bruce has written a series of detective novels called Sweeper. And I must Google this. Oh my god, I think it's actually true, Vince. 2.8 out of 5. Poor lad. Poor lad. It says Steve Barnes here, though. Is it true? Inside the literary career of Newcastle manager. This is amazing. Spoiler alert, the following contains plot details from Steve Bruce's trilogy of crime thriller novels, Striker, Sweeper, and Defender. It is not a joke. I mean, it feels like it's a joke, doesn't it? But it is not a joke. This is real. Wow. I don't know how I feel about it. That's incredible. Thanks for that, Vince. That's put a smile on my face. Steve Bruce. What a man. Dini Decore and Delafeu and Sarr are the good options because Watford looking good at the moment. Again, Andy, yeah, I'm not anti-Watford. I just mean for me personally, I can't bring them into the side. And I think they've got some difficult fixtures coming up. Thoughts on Jimenez captain this week? Pulakesh. Lovely differential. And I would always back Jimenez. I know I've taken him out now, but he's someone I'd definitely love to bring back in the future after their difficult run of fixtures. But Southampton, I mentioned it earlier, they do have currently, in the last few game weeks, the second best defence in the Premier League, just after Liverpool. But Jimenez can score against anyone. Would I captain him? If I was trying to have a gamble and go up the ranks, yes. But, I mean, I don't think many people will captain Salah because they're against United. I think he might be good differential captaincy. Kevin De Bruyne, it's going to be Kevin De Bruyne and Jamie Vardy every week because there are so many dead teams that quit when Vardy and De Bruyne were doing well and just captained him anyway, that basically anyone except those two would be a differential captaincy pick. So it's a big risk if he absolutely nails it and he scores higher than most, and that's fantastic. But I think it's a risk, obviously. But that's what this game is, right? Andy, no, played my wild card last week. I'm going on the all-out attack, and this is how I'm doing it. Cantwell a good option this week, definitely. I did believe I tweeted out that if you're going to bench Cantwell, who gets his double-digit hauls at home, and Norwich are playing the current worst team in the Premier League over the last 12 game weeks in Bournemouth, then there's just no sympathy. It's like when people bench Lundstram at home to Burnley, or what was the last haul that he get, or even against West Ham, bench him against West Ham, benching him at home to Villa, home to Burnley, and then people are so lucky because they're getting Lundstram and he's on my bench, and it's like, well, I'm gonna bench him in that situation. That's your option. So it's the same with Cantwell when he's got these nice, pretty decent home fixtures, and he goes and gets a double-digit haul. Oh, he's my first sub, he's my second sub, and that's wrong. Should you transfer Oba? Lachlan, I hope you mean transfer out because he's banned for 3 games. So yes, I would transfer him out. Andy Benjamin Mendy, I actually was thinking of trying to get to Laporte, who is 6.3 million. So when you say Benjamin Mendy, I had looked at Mendy because I can bring him in for Sidibe. And that is a move that I actually could make, Andy. So there you go. We have that agreement on that one. Issue with Mendy is I don't trust him in terms of getting rotated, but also he's pretty injury prone. And they have some pretty defensively difficult fixtures. But my eyes are on Laporte because he's such a key player and he's going to be such a big differential that I might be rocking like TAA, Lundstram, and Laporte and downgrading elsewhere to make that happen. Because I think if he gets back in that side, it'll be fantastic. Am I triple captain in week 24? And if I am, which player? I triple captain in game week 1 because I wanted Salah at home to Norwich, and it returned because he got a goal and assist in that game. If I had to triple captain this time, again, if I was a good rank, I'd go for Mane. It's a little bit safer, and I think he's the better option. But if I was a lower rank and I was trying to find a way to rise up the ranking, I'd back Mo Salah. So that's a simple answer to that one, Notorious. That's what I'd do. I think Mane's got the most potential for this double game week. But if you've got a triple captain and you're trying to get up those ranks and you think Salah could, I think Milner's out, so that means Salah's on penalties as well. So there's that little added extra there. That, yeah, if you triple captain and he does outscore Mane, you're looking at a nice big rise there. Just catch up. Any chance for a Moy hat trick this week? Yes! Someone's on the Moy mobile with me. You have to give it some sort of ridiculous transportation thing, right? Yeah, cheers, Jamila. I hope I say your name right. That's always going to happen. People are always going to say people's names wrong. But Moy is currently ahead of Traore. He looks like he's fit. They're against Aston Villa. It's my 11th player, right? McCarthy, goalkeeper's a goalkeeper. Lord Lundstram, TAA, good player. Sidibe, expensive. You back them, all good players. My 11th player, my 11th choice is Moy, obviously. So if he can get just anything, I mean, if he gets a hat trick, I'll captain him next week in a double game week. But I don't know. That's a pretty bold claim, but I mean, it's pretty bold to imagine that Moy gets a hat trick. Oh, so Notorious. So why am I benching Traore? Not particularly in great form right now. Wolves and Traore in general. And I'm back in Southampton because I've got McCarthy in goal. So if Traore gets something, that means McCarthy doesn't get his clean sheet. So it balances out. Traore gets an assist, but McCarthy loses his clean sheet. This way, if Traore blanks and McCarthy gets a clean sheet, then Traore's on my bench. Or I don't play McCarthy, which I can't do. I'm just going for the bigger score, do you know what I mean? So if I play Traore and he does get something, they're against each other. So someone has to lose in that scenario. Unless Traore scores and McCarthy gets 20 saves, someone has to lose. So I'm just betting on Southampton over Wolves. And Moy's got Aston Villa. So that's why I'm going. Mane, 1 goal deflected and Salah, no goals versus United. Firmino does well, doesn't he, against United? I mean, I don't know. They're at home. And again, Vince, like I said, a video will be coming at some point about like what stats I believe I wants to look into. And things like previous games or like anniversary ones or like, oh, they're playing on a Sunday evening and, Firmino's only ever scored 1 goal on a Sunday evening. I just feel that Liverpool could go out there and get a few goals. City, Ings or Vardy. But Vardy only 2 goals versus Burnley. So, Vince, what I was talking about as well with... So, anyone except sort of Vardy and De Bruyne is like a differential captaincy pick. But I lean less towards captaining a forward now because you remember that they get 1 goal and this thing is like 4 points, right? And it just feels like... But if a midfielder gets it, it's just more points. It just feels like there's more opportunities captaining a midfielder than any other position. Unless it's like a humdinger, But we thought a humdinger was Norwich at home for Jamie Vardy, and it wasn't. But a midfielder, because they've got a higher chance for assists and they've got a higher chance for goals as well. I like captaining midfielders because it feels like when they return, it feels worth it more than a forward. But Ings at home, I'd still feel a little bit worried about Southampton managers. What's it called? Hutton Hall. Hutton Hass, or whatever his name is. I still would be a little bit worried about him saying about dropping Ings. But he's a fantastic option. He's in amazing form. I don't think you can go wrong with a City option or Vardy or Ings. So I completely agree with Vince there. Rashford to Ings so you could do Richarlison for Mane next week? Yes. Yes, I would do that. Easily. Is double game week the best game week to use a triple captain, or do you think a better opportunity? So, triple captainships, I will always say, use it when you feel like you should use it. And I'm not trying to be diplomatic. I'm just saying, like, people will tell you, no, it must be in a double game week. But I think it's a great thing to use in double game week, depending on the double game week. Like, I don't think Wolves and West Ham is an amazing double game week. Like, I did it at home to Norwich, and he got a goal and an assist, which is a nice return. Even in a double game week, that's not a bad return. Last season I played it for Sane, and he got nothing for me. A lot of us did City assets last year. I think was it only Laporte and Aguero that was kind of worth it? So I would say, is it a good time to use your triple captainship? Yes, I would probably save it because I think Leicester could have a double game week, which includes Norwich. And I'm not trying to be mean on Norwich, but I think, Wolves, West Ham away is more difficult than Norwich and someone else. So you could definitely use your triple captain here. There's going to be future double game weeks. There's going to be future single game weeks, which, could be better used. No one's thinking about captaining Mane this week. Well, Vince just said he's only got 1 goal against United. I am actually tempted to put it on Salah or Mane. You can see my vice captaincy is Salah right now because De Bruyne could get dropped. But I can see De Bruyne just going crazy against Crystal Palace as well. But I'm tempted to go Salah because, again, I've got to risk it. I've got to try and find a way to get myself up this ranking. And just like you're saying, Marco, like, not a lot of people, I think, will captain Mane, but a lot less are going to captain Mo Salah. And I feel like, it could be a good one. De Bruyne has the best home record of going back against Palace. Yeah, notorious. Exactly what I've just said. That's why it's on for me right now. History says Sterling is the best captaincy option this week. 5 goals and assists. Yep. He's a fantastic option if you play. And it sounds weird, even because he has just been dropped or rested or rotated, however you want to put it. It does feel like he has the highest chance to not be dropped for this game week as well. Unless he's, like I said earlier, unless he's legitimately being dropped because of form and not for a rest. Should you do Abraham to Dominic Calvert-Lewin? Why? Like, if you've got a plan, Lachlan, like, if you're going to go Abraham to DCL and that enables, you know, someone to a Liverpool player or something like that. But if you just like try to save money, then no. I wouldn't do that. I knew it was going to be a risk bringing in Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and I only did that because that gave me Sidibe. But the future, if Sidibe doesn't pull it in, DCL does crap, then I'll just take them both out and probably downgrade Sidibe, and that'll allow me to upgrade Traore to like David Silva. So I'd have a double Liverpool, double City midfield, which I think would be pretty nice. Because I think a lot of people are going to be leaving Man City because they've got quite a difficult game week run of fixtures, and I feel that's when Man City can play the best. And people not bringing them in because they've got a difficult run. This is Man City. Like, they're a fantastic side, and a team I'm definitely still back. It's just a rotation issue. That's it. That's the only problem. So I'll go through some of the things that I scrolled at the bottom of the screen. Let me bring this up. So, just ones that we've already talked about that I'll probably skip. So, let me just go down here. So, that's not the right one. Okay, obviously wildcard's not active. I don't know why that one's still there, so I apologise. Liverpool, we've already discussed them to death. Rashford out, we've already talked about that. And Greenwood. Battle at bottom, Bournemouth and Norwich, what I said about that target. Bournemouth, Cantwell could be a good option. Maybe Pookie, is he back? No, we're not going to be bringing in Pookie, are we? Brighton, we talked about Morpay, we talked about Trossard, we talked about him defensively. Son, we talked about him, I backed him as well. Spurs choices could also go for Lucas Moura. I think 7.1 million, could be playing up front. I wouldn't be going Dele Alli again. I wouldn't be going defensive there. No, I can't say his name. Is it Tanganya? Let's just check his name. Tanganga, right? But he's played one match, and you know, it doesn't mean he's going to keep that place. So I'd rather go Williams at Manchester United because he looks like he's having a longer stay in the side. I'm not going to bring in one guy because he's had one 90-minute match. Arsenal without Aubameyang, we're not going to be touching Arsenal another way. Without Aubameyang, no one is really going there. And that's why I'm definitely playing Lundstrom because we've not got Aubameyang. Saints still marching on. We talked about Danny Ings, who's good form, and McCarthy, and defensively improved. Vardy party back. Definitely be backing Jamie Vardy. Like I said, I wish I had the guts to drop him, but he's against a pretty poor Burnley side right now. And yeah, I think a lot of people sold him, which I think is madness because he didn't blank. He had 2 games off, and he still got a return last week, so that's madness. And City back to their best. I mentioned that, you know, I definitely would be back in Manchester City because they're a fantastic side. Let's have a look. I think Sterling is finished. Oh, he's not finished. He's still young. But yeah, that's exactly it, Notorious. Why would Aguero or Jesus or Mahrez be dropped? Because that's what Pep does. You're on a wild card and you want Brighton attacking cover. You were thinking to a Trossard, but is Moy now that he's recovered? Moy's great, I think, as a 5th midfielder and someone who you can stick on the bench. But if you want actual returns from Brighton, then that would probably be leading towards Morpay or Trossard or Pascal Gross or Gross. He's always quite reliable, isn't he? And yet, really, I've literally just said Tanganga. Consider him, no, he's played one single game. There's Williams at United out there who's played more. And there's a bunch of players for 4.2, 4.3 million. Like, even now, I've had him since I did my wild card, and I've talked about him before, Lascelles, and now a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, if you're going to get rid of Rico and Kelly, why don't you go to this guy at Newcastle? I'm like, oh, well, I've been talking about him for ages. But yeah, so for me, for 4 to 4.3 million, there's quite a lot, especially like Watford. I had Kiko Firmino I know he's injured now, but I had him for 4.2. Janmaat will be coming back maybe soon, but you don't want to be getting a red flag for that. But 4.3 and 4.2 players at Watford that you could bring in. So yeah, I wouldn't really be going Tanganga because he's played one single game. I mean, if he gets like a run of 3 to 5 fixtures, then yeah, definitely it'd be an option. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there anyway, just shy of the hour mark. So if you can leave a like, that'd be great, and subscribe. And there's also the preview video from a couple of days ago. If you want to check that out, that'd be awesome as well. Hopefully, we're going to be getting some green arrows this game week. 1.8 million. I need to get inside that top million in the next sort of 5 to 10 game weeks because it's not looking good. All right, guys, I'm thankful again that you've joined me on a Friday. Hopefully, I'll be back again next Friday, and another video will be out next Monday or Tuesday to preview that big double game week. So hopefully I'll be seeing you in the comments on there and seeing you next Friday. Please follow me on Twitter as well. I do tweet very, very often about FPL and about football, so it'd be great to see you on Twitter as well. So thank you very much for joining, guys. I hope you have a great weekend, and yeah, let's hope our captaincy picks come back as well. So thanks a lot, guys, and as always, have a good one. Good luck, guys. Bye-bye.